Yeah.
You know, just this whole thing about the virus thing, and the media has been hate Trump all day long,
Oh yeah.
and they're putting this out across the world that America was slow in responding to the virus,
Yeah.
and that's absolute nonsense.
Yeah. And that's
We
all
were
it's that here.
as fast as anybody else
Yeah.
responding to the virus. And it just, the point is well taken though. I believers, people who love the Lord and are tuned in, are still missing that because they're getting it from the media. So my point is this: there was a time when you could, I've been traveling a long time, like I said, 45 years. I've been going back and forth to Ireland and different places. And you could tune in CNN. You could look at. I used to watch CNN.
When we were kids,
There was a time when we could
First
watch.
Gulf War, 1988.
It was liberal leaning, but it was the news.
Yeah.
It was a time to go in the airport and turn on and see the news. Like this happened here, that happened there. The news. That day is gone.
Yeah.
What they are doing now, and Christians need to wake up to this. What they are doing is just pure propaganda.
Yes.
It is not news anymore. It is propaganda. They might as well be Nazis. They're putting on Nazi propaganda, depending on your perspective. Like the Nazis put out all this propaganda about how great everything was, and the people bought it. And now this is what's happening today. We have gone past news a long time ago. This is pure propaganda. They're making up lies, saying evil things on the air that are not true, day in, day out. I don't know how, you can survive if you tune into that. If you listen to CNN, CBC, BBC, if that's where you get your news from, you're going to be on the wrong side of this whole thing when it goes down. You're going to be on the Antichrist side of things.
Yeah.
Yes.
Not because you're a bad person, because you were listening to the wrong people.
Yes.
So you need now, and one more point that goes with what you said and what Kyle said, and it actually goes back to what we were talking about. The 5 foolish virgins didn't put enough effort in.
Yeah.
Yes.
Absolutely.
And they let their oil run out. And that doesn't sound like a big, sin. Oh gosh, we just don't have enough. No, you see, the whole attitude was the lack of preparation.
Yeah.
And it's the same with the news. If you love Jesus and you're at the end of the age, if you don't know that, you are already deceived.
You're already deceived. Yes.
Yes.
Now, if you're just starting and getting going and getting to know the Lord and all that, and you're going towards the truth, then great, But if you knew this already and you're going away from it, you're already deceived.
Yeah.
And the point is that you have to look for the truth. You have to put an effort into finding the truth, because you're not going to be able to find it by just turning on the TV. You're going to have to take time in the Word of God. You're going to have to discern. And Christians who are going to believe what they hear on the media, I think are candidates for the deception of the end of the age.
Yeah.
Story.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay,
that was excellent. Okay, where do I start? I have so many things I want to say. First of all, I'm going to give just a brief synopsis. I obviously can't talk about everything that about this. I am on Sunday. I am doing a clash of worldviews.
Yeah.
That is the basis of what I'm going to start, and I don't know where the rabbit hole is going to lead me, I'm saying that I got so many different things I want to say. I don't know where it's going to go. But the point is that propaganda is what I want to talk about.
Yeah.
Propaganda.
Yeah.
And propaganda is has always been the tool.
Yeah.
It is the tool of the enemy, and it is used by wicked regimes.
Yes.
And remember who is behind wicked regimes. Read the prophets. Read Ezekiel 28, Isaiah 14.
Yeah.
Right? The devil and his angels are behind wicked regimes and propaganda. And that's what their tool is. Remember, it was propaganda which the devil peddled in the beginning of Genesis.
Yeah,
okay?
Said.
Yeah. So the point is that we are in a full-blown propaganda war.
Yes,
and it's not just started now. It's been going for a long time, but it's reaching its crescendo now because the spirit of Antichrist has been unleashed.
Yeah.
And we don't have the Antichrist fully formed we're not going to know him until he's revealed, right? But the spirit behind it
Yeah.
It's infectious. And I talked about this last time, but I'm starting up with that to talk about the media. Now, the media itself is not just the news.
No.
Get that out of your head. It's the novels you read. It's the movies you watch. It's the television shows you watch. It's the magazines you read.
Yep.
Okay? It's
Social
the
media.
newspaper articles you read and the news you watch. It's everything.
Yep.
It is the things you see that are on the top of the page on Facebook is covered with propaganda. Okay? On Twitter is covered with propaganda. It is everywhere. And it is always designed to give you a certain belief or world view that is counter to the Word of God.
Yes.
Always. Always, always. Now, there is always a remnant of truth, but you have to dig to find it. All right?
Now, in these days.
Yes, and there is, thank God, some organizations that actually give you the facts of what's going on. And they're not all Christian.
Yeah.
It's just that they care about giving you the facts, but you have to look. Now I want to talk about conspiracy theories, because we talked about this last time, but since 2 weeks ago when we had this conversation, oh my gosh, if I hear that word another time, conspiracy theories. The word conspiracy theory is used as a weapon.
Yep.
Yes, it is.
Yeah,
2 weeks ago when we had this discussion, it was called a conspiracy theory in the mainstream media and all around everywhere to believe that this virus came from a level 4 virology lab in Wuhan, China. Guess what? 2 weeks later, that conspiracy theory is now a fact. Okay? No one has apologized for calling all of us conspiracy theorists. Haven't had it once yet. We won't get it. Okay? Chinese propaganda was used directly. And okay, another thing he did. Okay, Paris Climate Accords was one of the best things he ever did. But saying, guess what? Who? You ain't getting the money. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
The bull in the china shop. It's the hammer. You know what I mean? And can you see any other Republican ever doing that?
No.
We can. No, I love it. I love it. But anyway, okay. So the point is that that there was propaganda that came out of the World Health Organization. Directly propaganda. They lied 4 times. Yes. They had an agenda in their lies. Okay? Yeah. So let's just look at this conspiracy theorist, and I really got to lay this out. All right? Yeah. Conspiracy theorists, in definition, if you were going to look it up on Politico, which is propaganda, right? Is all right-wingers with tinfoil hats and who think all this, right? That's what you would get. And that is I want to tell you right now, that is a propagandist lie to blind you. So you don't do anything. So you just believe what they say.
Yeah.
That's what it is. Yeah. If you just believe what they tell you, you'd think there's 150 genders. You'd think that life does not begin at conception. And you would believe that Israel is the problem with the whole United Nations. Yeah, okay? So come on. Yeah. All right? If you believe that, that's what you're going to get. And you know what? If you choose to eat the propaganda, that's on you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
All right? So the point is there right-wing conspiracy theories? Of course there is. I'll get into a couple of those first before I point out this. Okay? Right-wing conspiracy. There is. And I am always careful to double, triple source things. I don't just believe whatever I hear. I have to look into it and make sure it's legit and check it out. And right? Like 2 weeks ago, I said there was just a thought that there was a United States Senator, Tom Cotton, who called out this virology lab. And he was called a conspiracy theorist.
Yeah.
I didn't even say that I believed it definitely. I said it's a possibility. Right? Okay. So, but if you consider this, like the 5G thing.
Yeah.
We're probably all hearing about 5G, right?
Yeah.
And 5G is poisoning all of our souls and is the devil incarnate, and demons are flying through 5G. Okay. Now, I'm not saying 5G is healthy, because there's definitely some research that says that it can be dangerous,
right?
To the body. So I'm not talking about that. Okay, but there's a whole right-wing conspiracy theory going on, and it's literally coming from the kind of people in their mom's basement. Okay, that's where it's coming from. Where 5G, the coronavirus is actually 5G waves that are coming, and what's really, this whole entire thing is a conspiracy used to 5G to bring about this virus. I'm dead serious. Now, only about 12 countries have 5G. The virus is in 160-something countries.
Yep.
It is ridiculous. But that is a conspiracy. But the thing is, that is not a real true. Those are not serious researchers who are saying that. That's a fringe thing.
Yeah.
Okay. You're not going to find a reputable person who teaches the news, or even you could say proper conservative reporter, and with the tiny little percent that we have peddling that. Okay. Now. So if you believe that, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to burst your bubble, but that is a conspiracy theory. It's not true. Just look at the facts. It's wrong. Okay, it doesn't add up.
Yeah.
Just like it came from eating bats on the wet market didn't add up either.
No.
Okay, and China allowing blocking off travel to the rest of China and then letting those passengers go to the rest of the world, which is exactly what they did. Okay, perfect example of propaganda that the WHO should have been called. China really declared war on the rest of the world. Okay, if you're paying attention.
I was just getting to that. Yeah,
okay.
that's a big news.
Yeah, so let's go to well, let's hear what conspiracy theories. The true conspiracy theories come from the other side. They're the ones who peddle in conspiracy theories. They're the conspiracy theories of well, of course, the Russia collusion, which in the last week, since 2 weeks there's so much more information that's come out in the last 2 weeks. That was an absolute propaganda hit attack by a no longer deep state. It is now just the state.
The state.
Okay? Exactly. And again, so that is absolutely, and guess what? Everything you saw, every movie, television show, news, thing that you saw peddled that conspiracy theory that I'm saying it's conspiracy theory, and all told us we were conspiracy theorists. Yet, that's the perfect example of propaganda, and the truth is that it is the regular, what we would call the mainstream media, but it's way more than that, and because it's not news. And I like media is better because it's also in every television show and everything that you see. Okay, it is designed purposely. Okay. Now, so if you rely on that, then so many things that you wouldn't understand, that you don't get what's going on, right? So you actually think that the Federal Reserve is trying to help you.
Yeah.
You know?
The WHO. Yeah.
Okay. Anyway, there's so much more I could say about that, but I'll just end with this. Just simply, the real conspiracies are the ones that are actually coming from the other side, and they are under a spiritual control. And the main things that you hear are the conspiracy theories. Go ahead.
Yeah, that's a tactic of the enemy. It's always been that way. They say, first, you're crazy, you're loony, and then that doesn't fly. Then it's a conspiracy theory. And if that doesn't fly, then they'll come and shoot you, because that's the first thing.
Yeah.
So if they can marginalize you by calling you a conspiracy theorist, then nobody listens to you, and that's all. Then they've accomplished their goal. Now back to this, the China thing.
Yeah.
Now here's one. Here's one leader here who says, "Why I'm ignoring the COVID-19 conspiracy theory."
Yeah. Oh my gosh, I saw that.
Yeah. All right. Now I wonder if this morning if he's still ignoring them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But here's a world war that has been started.
Yeah.
No, I saw this thing and I thought it was really good because the guy said, people are talking about civil war. He said, we're already in a civil war.
We already are.
He says that when they shoot, that's the end of the war. He said.
Yes.
I thought that was really wisdom in that.
It's true.
When they start shooting, that's at the end of the war. The war starts politically. And now here's the situation. China has just unleashed.
Yes.
Now it's no longer a conspiracy because guess what? It never really was because we saw it right out in the open all along. This stuff was public.
Yeah.
And it wasn't hard to connect the dots. If the same 3 people keep showing up in the same place where there's a problem there, and then they show up over here. Oh, guess what? There's a problem over there. And they, how much smarts do you have to connect the dots? But I'm ignoring the conspiracy theories.
Yeah.
So
that same person, by the way, I just got to say this. That same person who I have followed like crazy
Yes.
Exactly was actually believing the mainstream media conspiracy theories and posting things about it and asking polls about it, was actually believing the real conspiracy theories coming from the left in the last couple of years.
God help.
So the truth is, he's the one who's actually peddled conspiracy theories.
God help us. Anyway, I want to throw out to you guys this whole thing with China. You know, their general, one of their generals, they have a book on this. How one of the tactics they want to bring down, and this goes to your whole question about timetable and all that.
Yep.
They want to bring down the U.S. And they have an agenda, and part of that agenda on this book that this Chinese well-known general has written. I don't know, it's been around for a while, but biological warfare is one of the ways they have chosen. Now, whether they did it on purpose or not, we do know now
that they used it.
We have proof that they protected their cities, and they released it on.
And they purposely let it go to the rest of the world. And
that we have proof on.
Yes.
Now, it doesn't. You don't have to stretch too far to think that it was planned that way, especially since this lady was messing with this virus for the last 4 or 5 years in their lab, and somebody from our country, from down in Carolina, is helping her. Yeah.
And we had Americans go there from the embassy 2 years ago to tell them that this lab was unprotected and was dangerous what they were doing.
So somebody needs to clean shop in this side of the water here.
Yes.
But anyway, regardless of all that, this has essentially shut down the world.
Yep.
What it's done to our economies is beyond belief. We have no idea. So many businesses won't be able to start up. So many restaurants, and people are not going to even want to go to the restaurants for.
While we're talking, Jen just texted me. Cuomo just said we're keeping lockdown till May 15th.
Yeah,
that's insanity.
It's insanity.
Yeah, we're May 15th. So
okay, well.
Yep.
So anyway, here's the deal. China has declared war. I don't see them doing anything to apologize or to fix this situation, and so what I think is happening here, we don't know where this is going, but we know that our economy has suffered. And I'm talking now about the U.S. I know it hurt everybody's economy, and a lot of people are hurting. Yeah. A lot of people in every country, and our hearts go out to them.
Yeah.
Just talking Bible prophecy here. The U.S. has been a major player in Bible prophecy, particularly when it has to do with Israel. However, the U.S. is not mentioned anywhere in Bible prophecy. So that tells us that our role is about to diminish significantly.
Yeah.
And we are in a crisis, that's way bigger than coronavirus. We are in a crisis that could be a world crisis.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because China is flexing their muscles everywhere, and so is Russia.
Yep.
And there's a plan, and they're working together. They've had the biggest military exercises in the history of the world.
Yep.
And what was the focus of the exercises? They were fighting the United States.
Yeah.
So if they can pull us down one way or another, they're going to do it. And so anyway, what I think is happening here, that's a big part of it. Donald Trump, who has been in my opinion, a good leader. I may not agree with everything he says or does, but he is a champion for our civil rights, for everything, for and now he has just been sideswiped and knocked off his presidential chair and taken over by this little doctor with connections to all these people who has basically locked down our country and destroyed our economy. For some places, yes, it was needed, like maybe New York City. But so many places, and now we're finding out in New York even.
In the 50 states of the Union, that's for sure.
And now we're finding out that in New York, they had all these empty beds. They have all these ventilators they never needed, and blah, blah, blah. And they're counting every dead person as having coronavirus. And
because they get money for every single one of them.
Yeah.
Extra federal money for every one.
Now, I want to make it clear there's a lot of good people working hard, a lot of doctors, nurses suffering, a lot of people on the front line. We appreciate all they're doing, all that. Not trying to say anything bad about any of that. Just saying that we see these politicians, we see the worst of the worst coming out. I mean, this one in Michigan, and what they're taking away our freedoms left, right, and center, Gestapo state, you know?
Yeah.
And
yesterday, that was amazing.
now, what is going to happen with these governors? What is going to happen with these mayors and all this? And so what we're seeing here is a collapse of our system. And then we have this news anchor, going back to the media again this morning, saying that
Biden should start his own government.
Should start a shadow government.
Saw that.
So, yeah, okay, it's stupid. It's not going to happen. But the point is, this is how they're subverting our country, subverting our constitution, everything. We're essentially we've lost it.
Yes,
we have lost it. And so I think our enemies are very happy that we've lost it. And I think they're watching that. And those of you out there in other countries in Europe and everywhere else, love you and bless you, but don't you be gloating over the demise of America, because it's not going to be good for the rest
That's
of
the only thing holding back from the full global system.
It is not going to be good for you.
Yeah.
But anyway, or for any of us. But anyway, I think as far as timing, and I kind of shifted the subject.
Yeah, our fourth one is where we're at right now on the final chessboard of the eschatological.
Yeah, right. Did you want to get in on that, Kyle?
Yeah.
Before I go there.
Yeah, absolutely. No, it's amazing watching all these things play out, and that's just very interesting watching the nations, because I think one of the big things right now, like in the media, obviously, we have to be real. Yeah, there's propaganda, there's an agenda, but it's also to take our eye off of what is really going on, because there's a lot more going on than the coronavirus.
Yes,
there always is. Yeah,
and it's starting. Thank God, some of it's obviously in the American media now. Here, completely different. Like all the stuff that your guys talking about now, I obviously I look all this stuff up and I'm constantly researching. That is not in any of our papers here.
Yeah.
You will not find that anywhere.
Yeah.
So you have to search for it. And the reality is there is an agenda, of course, right now to take our eyes off of all else that is going on.
Yep.
And the reality is, okay, we'll talk about conspiracy, right? Well, we're not talking about a conspiracy theory. We're talking about a conspiracy at the end of the age.
Yeah.
And we're seeing it manifest here. We know there is first of all, we know it's the Antichrist, but there is an Antichrist political system. And that right now is at major play. And I've just been watching, especially in Europe, it's very interesting, setting things up, as obviously we see it biblically in the scriptures, the revived Roman Empire, that last empire. And watching, at least from my perspective over here, I've been keeping up on all the different news sources, and even evil ones will say, and the news coming out about the different nations. And it's very interesting right now, even in the midst of the coronavirus and the laws that are being made, they're coming together and they're one, but they're like that last empire. Yeah, we're strong, but they're also brittle. And right now, there's fighting going on within Europe, which if you don't look for it, you're not going to see it. And we'll go bigger picture in a sense. I think this is the nail in the coffin for Brexit from my position. I think the Lord is playing a bigger picture here that we're not looking at that stuff right now. We're not even thinking about that stuff. But all that stuff, once this is all said and done and the economic fallout happens, what's that going to mean for all of Europe's economy? What's that going to look like on this side of the world? Yes, we know, okay, America and Bible prophecy. And yes, it is our nation. I'm an American and I come from there. And thank you, Lord. But we know there has to be a removal. And I think that is one of the big things. Like on this side of the fence, obviously, everything is against America. And everything's against Donald Trump. And we know it's this nationalist versus globalist thing. That globalist heart we're seeing right now rise up here in Ireland, but all over Europe, is screaming. And what I've seen, like the last couple of days, the articles coming out here about America restarting their economy, obviously. And in that, all the papers here have been spinning it and saying how, oh no, that would be absolutely horrible. It's too soon. And us European nations, we're not going to do it yet. Half the European nations are starting to restart their economies now, if you've been paying attention. But we're not going to do it because we care about people's lives. And Donald Trump and the Americans, they don't care about people's lives. They don't care about their people. There's this complete agenda. But the reality is, this is why we're talking about this stuff. Church, hopefully you're paying attention and listening. You need to wake up to that, because that's going to affect your worldview. It's going to affect your biblical worldview. And you're not going to be able to see then when this Antichrist system, which we're seeing take form in a major way right now, you're not going to see it, because you're going to be led off into the mouthpiece, what they're saying. And you're going to swallow it because that must be true. Yeah, they are like that. Oh, their president is like that, and whatever it may be. And all the lies that are being spun. So right now, I find it absolutely fascinating in Europe, at least when I'm looking from the prophetic timeline, in the place that we're at, I see a lot of laws being made that are going to affect the coming years that will play into the empire that is being established.
Yeah, that's the goal.